What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are taking a community survey for Battlefield that has been blowing up. It's been all over Reddit, all over Twitter, and I want you guys, my community, to take this survey as well. I will link it, first link in the description, because this is a very important survey that actually has gotten some attention, right? This is a survey that basically tries to gauge what the Battlefield community wants as a whole for the next Battlefield game. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. If you enjoy the channel, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I stream every single day at twitch.tv/enders and on YouTube at the same time. Turn notifications on so you don't miss when I'm live or when I upload a video. First question, how old am I? You know, we'll just ignore that, 25. What is your gender? Male. What was the first Battlefield game you've ever played? The first Battlefield game I have ever played was Battlefield 3. What's your favorite Battlefield game? This I sort of jumble around. I'm going to have to go with Battlefield 3 as well. Not because it was my first, but because overall, throughout all of the games that I've played, I think Battlefield 3 is the game that got everything the most correct, all in one package. I think the maps are overall better than Battlefield 4. I think the mechanics are overall better than Battlefield 1. And as a whole package, I just think it's my favorite and the best Battlefield game ever made. Do you play other FPS games besides Battlefield? Yes, I do. I have played Apex. I played Call of Duty. Played Warzone. I have played Rainbow Six, not recently, but I have played it. I've played like 2,500 hours of Counter-Strike. Haven't played Valorant because it's just basically garbage anime Counter-Strike. I played Halo. I played PUBG. I've carried my girlfriend in Fortnite. I played the finals, I played Overwatch and Gundam Evolution, and a bunch of other hero shooters. I have not played Tarkov, and I have unfortunately played some milsims. Unfortunately. Let's go to the next section. Setting. Which setting should the game have? Definitely not World War I or World War II. Those are done to death. Vietnam, debatable. I'd accept Vietnam. I'm not sure it's the best setting. Cold War, I think, is great. 80s, I think, is great. 2000s, great. Modern. Near future, I guess. I mean, Battlefield 2042 is near future, and we saw how that went. So, honestly, I'm going to go with my personal preference. I would actually love to see them do a Cold War Battlefield game. I've said this multiple times. I would also accept Vietnam, 80s, 2000s, and modern. I'd be fine with that. They cannot afford to do World War I or World War II, though. They just can't. How should the game's tone be? This is a no-brainer in my experience. Serious and realistic. Don't make anyone mad, okay? Don't do 2042. Just don't. Don't make anyone mad. Battlefield 3, 4, and 1, easy. How important is realism? It depends what capacity you're talking about, right? Certain aspects have to be quote-unquote realistic, and other aspects don't have to be realistic. So I'm going to answer it's less important than people realize, but for certain aspects, it's more important than people realize, I think. It's a hard question to answer just like that, but moving on to the next section. Modes. What should be the game's main mode? Well, I think it's pretty obvious. Conquest. You might have different answers. I think Conquest. Generally speaking, I think if you answered anything else, people would probably get angry at you. But yeah, Conquest. You could maybe argue Rush. I don't think you can argue Frontlines or TDM or anything like that. Conquest, again, don't make any stupid decisions. Don't make anyone mad. How many players should Conquest be designed for? 64? I don't want to hear any other answers. Should there be a Battle Royale or Extraction mode? Extraction mode? Absolutely not. Battle Royale, there's already going to be a Battle Royale in the next Battlefield game, as we have heard. Should there be one, though? In my opinion, yes. I'm sorry, that's not a popular opinion. In my opinion, I think they have to adapt Battlefield to what modern gamers expect from an FPS. I don't think you can just release a classic Battlefield anymore and expect it to be super successful like in, I guess, the ye old days, like in Battlefield Bad Company and Battlefield 3. I think the market has changed a lot, And I think Battlefield does still have a bunch of potential for a battle royale. The only thing that this all, hangs on is if Battlefield can actually execute for once in their lives, right? So I'm going to go with would be nice, right? Would be nice if they can execute it, okay? Should there be an esports competitive / ranked mode? This is going to make people angry. Yes. 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 Okay? Massive missed opportunity. Ranked modes attract people to your game. It's what people like. It gives some people something to do, something to grind for, okay? And I know all you OG Battlefield players are going, no, it's not for you. It's not for you. Play Conquest, play Breakthrough, play TDM. You don't have to play ranked. The fact of the matter is if Battlefield was a massive successful game, let's go out and imagine the next Battlefield releases and it's just a colossal success. If ranked wasn't in that game, people would be angry. Put it in the game, it doesn't hurt. You have nothing to lose anyway. You really don't. What do you got to lose? 2042 is always the worst game ever. Like, go for it. Which mode should be included in the game? I am actually a fan of streamlining the amount of game modes in Battlefield. I think Battlefield, throughout the years, has sort of ballooned terribly with the amount of game modes. 2042 especially, you see like literally sometimes 10 or 11 featured game modes on the main menu. In my opinion, it should feature Conquest, yes. Breakthrough, yes. TDM, Rush, and Domination with arguably like an operations mode, but I think if you included operations, you should get rid of Breakthrough. Okay? So, actually, let me just amend this. I think Conquest, Operations, TDM, Rush, and Domination. You could argue Frontlines as well, but I think Operations fulfills that sort of linear style game mode enough already to where Frontlines would maybe be a little bit redundant, but I understand it's a fan favorite mode. I think ideally you're going to want, your 5 core game modes and then your competitive mode if you were to add it, and then the battle royale, leaving you with about 7. I think that's comfy. I think that's fine. You don't really need anything else, okay? Moving on to the next section. Classes. Which form of classes / specialists should be used? Well, let's just X out the word specialists, right? Let's just get rid of that. We don't need that at all, okay? We don't just stop. Regular classes. Regular classes. Regular classes. Not complicated. Really not. Which class system should be used? I'm going to go with, let's see. They're having us pick between like what style Battlefield game. I'm going to go with Assault Support Engineer and Recon from Battlefield 3.4 Hardline and 2142. You could also argue Assault Medic Support Recon from Battlefield 1 and 5. I'm just going to give the people what they want. I'm going to give people the nostalgia of the most successful Battlefield games. I'm going to give them Assault Support Engineer and Recon, and we can call that a day. Okay? I don't think anyone would complain. I think people would be totally satisfied with that. I also think people would be totally satisfied with Assault, Medic, Support, and Recon from Battlefield 1 and 5. Should weapons be locked to classes? Yes. I'm a fan of locking weapons to classes. I think that having every single weapon accessible to every single class sort of diminishes the classes, if that makes sense. I think making weapons locked to specific classes give the class a purpose. For instance, if you give engineers access to submachine guns, people use submachine guns if they need to go in close quarters. You give ARs to assault. You give snipers to recon, right? The classic Battlefield formula. I think that's totally fine. Okay? You don't have to lock all of them. You can have maybe, in fact, I'll check some of them. You don't have to lock all of them because you can have flex weapons like carbines in Battlefield 4, for instance. Carbines are accessible to, I believe, every class in the game. So I thought that was fine as well. Should there be class limits? Limited amount of snipers per team, for example. I want to answer yes, but unfortunately, I have to answer no. I think if you were to introduce class limits, it would make people angry. And in my opinion, the less people you make angry, especially with the next Battlefield game, the better you are off. Okay? Don't make anyone angry. On to the next section. Vehicles. How strong should vehicles be compared to infantry? This is a bit of an interesting question, and I'm not sure that it's valid. Vehicles should be strong, but the strength of the vehicle also depends on a lot of other factors. It depends on its design. It depends on the skill of the player, right? What do you mean by strong? You know, like strong in terms of just how the raw power the vehicle possesses no matter who pilots it, or the potential strength of the vehicle based off of the skill ceiling in the mechanics and the weaponry that the vehicle offers to the player. I think vehicles should definitely require teamwork to destroy. I don't like this notion that you should be able to solo all these vehicles with ease. I think you should only be able to solo vehicles if they make some sort of fatal error or you make a great play. For instance, if you get a critical vehicle hit with an RPG by shooting the tank in its ass, right? Doing 55 damage. Vehicle's disabled, you hit another one, it blows up. That's totally fine. If you place 3C4 on it, they don't see you or something. You blow the tank up and it dies. That's fine, okay? I think the best way to do vehicles is actually how Battlefield 3 and 4 did vehicles. You give the vehicles a massive skill ceiling that makes them very strong, but you also makes the counters very strong. For instance, in Battlefield 3, if you were flying a jet, the threshold to be disabled in a jet, HP-wise, was actually, I believe, 33% or something. So I'm a fan of making vehicles quite strong, but also, if they make a mistake, you can kill them fairly easily, if that makes sense. Which vehicles should be included? Okay, well, obviously attack helicopters, scout helis, jets, no bombers, transport, gunship, no. Tanks, Mavs, I guess. Anti-air, obviously. Transport vehicles, yes. No hovercraft, no bolt. Mechs, hell no. And if there are water maps, I'm okay with attack boats. I think that's fairly straightforward. There it is. Do attack helis have TV missiles? Yes, in my opinion. There's no question in my mind that the best version of helicopters in Battlefield was in Battlefield 3 and 4, and that's for a reason. The gunner heli dynamic was amazing. You needed skilled pilots and skilled gunners, and using the skill, being skilled with TV missiles was very rewarding and actually extremely difficult if you're trying to 1v1 another good heli team. I like TV missiles. Great. Should the game use the vehicle category system from 2042? Vehicle category system from 2042. You don't necessarily need it. I'm going to answer no on this. Should vehicles primarily spawn in the team's bases? If you guys remember, it's been a long time since this has been a thing. But for instance, in Battlefield 3, jets would be sitting on the runway. I'm not personally a fan of this, to be honest with you. I vividly remember getting spawn camped trying to spawn in these vehicles by people sniping me out of the cockpit. I'm going to go with no. It could be controversial, but I'm going to go with no. Should additional vehicles be made available by capturing certain flags? It creates an inherent unbalance, doesn't it? Imbalance, rather. I'm going to go with no, although I understand why you would answer yes. I'm kind of 50-50 on this, but I'm going to answer no. Should vehicles be able to manually repair themselves from inside? Ooh, this is probably controversial as well. So if you remember Battlefield 3 and 4, you couldn't do that, right? There was, I believe, a repair system that would slowly regenerate your vehicle's health over time, but in general, you have to jump out, repair the vehicle, that sort of thing. I preferred that to how these self-repair systems are right now. So I'm going to answer no. I think you should have to either work together with someone or play engineer yourself and then jump out, get to a safe location and repair your vehicle. Should vehicles have limited ammunition that needs to be resupplied at stations? No. I'm sorry. No. I hated this system. I thought it was annoying. I understand why you would be in support of it, but I just personally don't like it. So I'm going to answer no. Moving on to the next section, though. Gunplay. How high should the TTK be? High, Battlefield 1 at release, the finals Apex. Medium, Battlefield 1 right now. Low, very low. So you don't want low or very low, in my experience. And it's interesting that he mentions low being Battlefield 2042 because you can die extremely quickly in all Battlefield games. I will say the time to kill that I enjoyed the most was definitely the current iteration of Battlefield 1, or I would even be completely fine with the way the time to kill is right now in Battlefield 2042 or with Battlefield 5. I'm a fan of like a medium time to kill. I think that fits Battlefield quite well, but it depends on how you balance it over distance, right? That's where Battlefield 2042 went wrong with 140 meter AR sprays, insta-killing you, right? I think Battlefield 1 had a nice medium, and I'd be fine with that. How much spread and recoil should weapons have? High spread, 2042 in Battlefield 1. Medium spread, Battlefield 4. I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say that I don't know. Never mind. So, no spread in Battlefield 5. This is actually incorrect. Battlefield 5 absolutely had spread. It was just translated into recoil, which was random recoil, which is a terrible system. So, I think a good balance of spread in Battlefield depends on how you do it. 2042 and Battlefield 1 are definitely extremely different ways to do spread in Battlefield. For instance, SLRs in Battlefield 1. Definitely the highest skill requirement weapons in all of Battlefield games. It required you to understand the spread mechanics, and that's why people complained. To be honest with you, this is going to be probably an unpopular opinion. Battlefield 1's gunplay was some of the best gunplay Battlefield has ever had. And people didn't like it because they couldn't understand it. If you really understood it, it actually works quite well. BF4, I found the spread was just a little too much. The spread increase per shot specifically was a little too much. If you tweaked it down, it'd be completely fine as well. So this is just sort of almost an unanswerable question. Like, it depends on the engagement distance of the game to a certain degree, depends on a bunch of different factors. I'm just going to answer medium spread with low recoil, to be honest. I know people always ask for more recoil, but I think the fact of the matter is, if you gave Battlefield more recoil, I think people would also complain about that, because they would mistake the higher recoil for spread and then vice versa, because that's how the Battlefield community is. So I think you have to have a lower amount of recoil in Battlefield, and you have to keep the spread medium-ish. That makes sense? Should visual recoil exist? No. Visual recoil is a useless mechanic that is just simply not needed at all. That's why they removed it from Battlefield 4 in its entirety. You don't need visual recoil. Stop it. Should you be able to control spread? Well, yes, that's why spread is in the game. Yes. How should recoil be implemented? 100% pattern-based. Pattern-based with random element, 100% random. Well, what? Pattern-based. Pattern-based with spread. So the recoil follows a pattern, and as you shoot, you get less accurate, right? Then, if you want to be more accurate, you reset by bursting. I think that's a great way to do gunplay. How large should magazines be? Average AR/SMG. 30. About 30. That's fine. How strong should sidearms be? Well, this is interesting because sidearms shouldn't be as strong as they are in 2042. For instance, the Glock or the Desert Eagle, I could easily play an entire game with the Glock and Desert Eagle and probably post very good scores. You want sidearms to be strong, but perhaps not strong over a very large distance, right? So I think it's fine that sidearms are either as strong as primary weapons or slightly weaker than primary weapons, as long as you reel in their effective range, right? Because we all know there's going to be a 2-tap revolver that 1-taps you in the head, but maybe it doesn't 1-tap you in the head from a large distance, right? This is a hard question to answer. I'm going to go with slightly weaker than primary weapons. How much damage should grenades do? 100 damage in a small area. I think obviously if you land a good grenade on someone's feet, they should die. And maybe a little, farther away from someone's feet, they should also die. We all know how terrible grenade spam can be in Battlefield, and I don't think anyone wants 100 damage in a large area. Should the sniper sweet spot from Battlefield 1 be implemented? Absolutely not. Sniper sweet spots are just completely overpowered. They give people completely undeserved accidental kills. It's a stupid mechanic. Should sniper rifles one-shot to the body at close range? Ooh, this is going to be interesting. They one-shot to the body in close range in Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4. I think if you severely restrict where they one-shot, right? So you have to hit center mass within, let's say, 20 meters. I think that's fine, but it can also potentially be disastrous because it depends on how you balance the sniping, right? If it's super easy, this could be overpowered. A nice balance of it, I thought, was Battlefield 3 and 4. I thought that was largely okay. So I'm going to answer yes, but within a very restricted distance. I'm talking potentially 0 to like 15 or 20 meters. How fast should you be able to aim down sights with sniper rifles? This is another almost impossible question to answer without diving really deep into it. I like, a medium fast. Nothing too fast, nothing too slow. Like a nice middle ground. How should other aim down sight times be, except for sniper rifles? I'm a fan of snappy ADS times. I understand if light machine guns taking longer to ADS or sniper rifles taking longer to ADS is a popular balance decision that people want to make. I think you can answer varied depending on the weapon here. I think that'd be fine, but in general, you want to keep it mostly consistent. How good should hipfire be? Well, it certainly shouldn't be as accurate as aiming down sights. It should be significantly less accurate than ADSing, but also, depending on the type of weapon you have, it should be accurate within a certain distance. I'm not a fan of hipfire that's worthless, okay? How should aim assist work? Oh boy, here we go. There should be no rotational aim assist, but there should be slowdown. Rotational aim assist is overpowered. It's the reason why people complain about Call of Duty and Apex Legends. If you know how rotational aim assist works, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, then you don't, I guess. Rotational aim assist reacts literally... Rotational aim assist instantaneously reacts to directional changes, which is humanly impossible. Okay, it has a 0 millisecond reaction time to strafing, 0 millisecond reaction time to me jumping. It's overpowered. That's why people complain about it in Call of Duty and Apex. And I know some people are gonna comment, well, Anders, if it's so overpowered, switch to controller. I don't want to use an artificial aim system. Sorry. How should suppression work? No suppression. Or suppression that's only visual. I don't want suppression making me miss. Either no suppression or suppression that's only visual. Teamplay. Should the squad revive exist in Battlefield 5 in 2042? Or I guess, should the squad revive exist in general? This is a mechanic that people have sort of become used to over the years. I think it's largely fine, but at less than 100 HP for certain. How should the medic revive work? I think Battlefield 4, definitely no animation. Battlefield 4 is fine. Takes you time to charge it up. Then you slap him in the chest with it and they're up, right? Should you be able to drag down players? No. Just stop. Should the attrition system for BF5 return? Absolutely not. Attrition was designed specifically to hinder good players. If you don't believe me, 99% of people didn't even experience attrition because they died before attrition set in. Okay? Don't bring back attrition. It's anti-fun. Should there be ammo and medical stations on the map? Sure. Why not? Should you be able to manually take ammo and healing from players? Yes. Oh my god, yes. Yes. 100,000% yes. How large should squad be? 4. I'm sorry. I know some people are going to answer 5. Unless you increase the player count to make each team divisible by 5, I have to answer 4. It makes no sense at all to make a game mode that's 64 players require 5-man squads. It's not divisible, it doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry. Should there be a commander role like in Battlefield 2 and Battlefield 4? Doesn't really matter, does it? I understand some people are a fan of it. I really don't think it matters, though. You know, this game is not like an RTS game. I'm gonna answer no. I think it's a wasted feature. Should squad call-ins exist? If you remember what squad call-ins are, it's like you can call down ammo or a transport vehicle, or in 2042's case, a tank for some deranged reason. I don't know. No, I'm gonna answer no. Community features. How important are platoons? Very important. Needs to be present at launch. There is no reason why this should not be in the game. There's just no reason. Should all chat exist? Absolutely. Enable that by default too, ladies and gentlemen. That's part of the draw of Battlefield. You kill someone and they call you a mean word. That's, yes, give me that all day, please. Should the chat be censored? No. Should optional proximity chat be implemented? I guess. As long as I can disable it. That's the most important part. Should the community be more involved in decision making? It depends on who you listen to. Are you going to listen to people that perhaps don't know what they're talking about? Or are you going to listen to people that do know what they're talking about? But how do you determine that, right? The community should obviously be listened to, but it does have some pretty dire consequences sometimes. How important is it for the community test environment to come back? I think it's important. I like the community test environment. I think it would be a positive to the game. And I don't really see why they wouldn't have it. Are you happy with the current community management? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Like, I'm not involved enough in that to even, like, answer. Do you wish more transparency regarding decision-making from the developers? Yes, I do. Moving on. Servers. Should servers be persistent? You join and stay on there with the same players until you leave. Absolutely. Why not? Should there be a server browser? Yes. DICE. Should SPMM exist? Absolutely not. And you also can't put SPMM in a Battlefield game. It would destroy Battlefield. Destroy the game. You cannot put SPMM in a combined arms shooter like Battlefield. It would cease to be Battlefield. Should a team balancer be implemented? Yes, but only between matches. Should you be able to manually switch teams? I think the option should exist for custom servers, but inevitably what's going to happen is people are just going to switch from the losing team to the winning team, right? And that in and of itself is like a classic in Battlefield. But should you be able to do it? I'm going to answer yes. Should you be able to host your own servers? Yes, you should. And I think they should go back to the old way of doing it. Like, you know, paying provided for, you know, DICE or third parties or stuff like that. You could also argue paid for DICE or free. I'm just going to answer yes in general. I'm not sure which one to choose here. How much should you be able to change on custom servers? This is going to be controversial, but only a few things, ladies and gentlemen. I think 2042 is a great example of giving a community too much customizability. Portal is pretty much unplayable. The only servers that people make are completely awful, you know, wet dream milsim servers and just like XP boosting, and it's just a complete and utter catastrophe. So I think you have to restrict a few things. I think you really do. Weapons and attachments. Should shotguns exist? This is going to be controversial. If it were up to me, I would answer no. Because shotguns are either useless or they're overpowered in games like Battlefield. It is very hard to balance them. However, if you remove shotguns, people will complain. So I'm going to answer yes, but balanced, if that makes any sense. You cannot make them too strong. Which types of grenades should be present? This sort of depends on the setting of the game. I'm going to say HE, which is a regular grenade. No impact grenades. They're just cringe. Incendiary, smoke, and I suppose I could go stun grenade or maybe a flash grenade. I'd be okay with those 4. How many HE grenades should you be able to carry? 1. Should indirect fire explosives like mortar exist? No. How should the attachment system work? This is sort of personal preference. I didn't really mind any of these. I think we can just answer like Battlefield 3 and 4 and call it a day. Do you find extensive attachment systems like Modern Warfare 2019 tiring or annoying? Yes, I actually do. It's just too much. Should the Plus system from 2042 be implemented? No. The Plus system from 2042 is overpowered, and it should never see the light of day again. Movement. How fast should you be able to move? Medium fast. Like a medium fast. You know, an answer medium, like BF3, 4, BF5 sort of thing, right? How should the slide work? I like Battlefield 5 slide. I think it's great. They could really cook with that. Which additional features should be present? Bunny hop. Well, obviously, that's in like every Battlefield pretty much ever. And it's not even bunny hopping, by the way. It's simply jumping. You don't bunny hop. Bunny hopping is like 4 jumps in a row, chaining them. That's not in any Battlefield game except for maybe arguably Battlefield 2042. But even then, it's like stop crying and get good, to be honest. Crouch running, sure. Back prone, absolutely not. Ledge grabbing, no. It actually ruins some map design. I'm going to be honest, it really does. High vaulting, sure. Roll from jump, I think that's fine. Tactical sprint, absolutely not. I hate tactical sprint. 1 sprint speed, call it a day. Wall running, no. Grappling hook, no. Zipline, sure. Wingsuit, no. Should you be able to shoot while jumping or falling? Absolutely. Should fall damage exist? Yes, at large heights. Should you be able to go prone? Yes. You should be able to go prone. I think if you don't put prone in the game, you actually are banking on dice to make good maps with cover. So they're not going to do that, so you need prone. And we're reaching the final little questionnaire here. This is a 43-minute video. It's actually insane. I didn't think it would take this long. So if you watched to this point, thank you so much. Subscribe to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. And also hit the like button. Thank you guys so much. How important are the following features? Squad management, very important. Hardcore mode, extremely unimportant. Scoreboard, very important. In-game stat page, it's important, not really. It's like less important. Battle log, unimportant. Leaderboards, very important. Ribbons, very important. Service stars, very important. Dog tags, very important. Emblems, very important. Spectator mode, actually very important. Test range, very important. Point bonuses, squad wipes, revenge, very important. Perks. If they're talking like squad perks, like Battlefield 3 and 4, I think they're important. High tick rate servers, 60 plus hertz, very important. Good mouse and controller input. Is there like an essential button? Is there like a non-negotiable button you can put here? Solo/co-op mode. I think solo/co-op actually needs to be removed. I think it sort of, if you're gonna have progression in your game, you can't have people boosting it from day one with solo co-op. I think that's dumb. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I will leave the link for this in the description. Take this survey. You can obviously blaze through it much faster than me. because I had to make a video for it. You can just, answer it on your own pace. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel, hit the like button. I'll see you guys in the next one.